Every time has its moment, and the moment for this time is now. Welcome to the Plutonian Show. My name is Roberto Alba, and today we're going to talk about the moon. The moon is a very, very intricate part of the chart and of the personality of an individual. Um, but first, I want to get a little bit of a perspective of the moon as a celestial body. The moon is associated with the mother, and it's very interesting because it is because of the moon being placed at as a satellite to our planet that life was able to be developed in this planet. So you can say in a way that the moon is our mother. Like she gives us nurturing sustenance, like everything that we are, and the fact that we are here, we owe it to the moon, and that is fascinating. The moon is associated with the feminine energy, just as the sun is associated with the male energy. The sun is the yang energy, whereas the moon is the yin energy. The sun is associated with the father, and the moon is associated with the mother. It's very interesting because the every planet has a rulership, and the moon rules um, women principles and women processes. The moon takes 28 days to take a turn around the zodiac, and a female's menstrual cycle takes about 28 days. It's linked. It's linked with the moon. The moon rules in physicality. It rules the breasts. It rules motherhood. It's a very very fascinating. Uh, it's a very fascinating development when you see the manifestation of the power of the moon. The moon is one of the most powerful, underrated planets that there are. The moon, wherever we have it in our chart, is going to be the way that we experience the world through our feelings, and that is difficult to grasp. And I apologize because I don't think that there's any particular way in which I can do any justice to how it is that the moon works inside of a person's um, spirit. Every soul has a connection to the moon. Every person has a connection to the moon. Every being has a connection to the moon. Energetically, we live in this planet, and the moon affects us because we are bound to this planet. The gravitational pull of the moon affects us, and that is fascinating. And it's very interesting how the ancients associated the power of the moon with with the power of the female energy. Um, an interesting thing about the moon is that the moon is associated with motherhood, and in a lot of instances, not in all of them, but in a lot of instances, when a child is born and the moon isn't the sign in the same sign as the mother's sun, which for example, I have my natal moon in the sign of Pisces, and my mom was born with the sun in Pisces. I was the firstborn of my brothers, and I can tell you that I have a very I know, and my mother knows that we have a very very strong, and I don't want to say just emotional bond. It's like it's almost like a psychic bond. It's like we are like very we are we are linked to each other. It's a very strong bond, and there's and I've noticed that a lot of firstborns have that link to the mother. One that I can think of and that I wasn't surprised at all was Prince Charles of England. He has the moon in Tauruses, and the queen, she was of the sign of Taurus. So it's very interesting when you think about it that father mother, like, take yourself. I'm gonna take myself. I'm gonna put myself in my mother's chart. My mother became a mother at the time that the moon was making a transit through her natal sun. That's fascinating. That to me, like, whenever that happens, when you think about it, it's like, wow, like you were, and because the moon moves extremely fast. The moon takes 2 days to move from one sign to the next. When there's that type of, like, it's like one of those slot machines in Vegas, and you pull on them and it spins, and it's like for the things to align perfectly to hit the jackpot. It's fascinating when you think about it that a woman becomes a mother when the moon is making a transit in her natal sun. That just blows my mind, and it's fascinating. It's like when you think about it, what type of bond does she share with that child? It's mind blowing. Every being in this planet has a bond to the moon. It's where we feel most vulnerable because we're never gonna be as vulnerable as when we are held by our mothers. And it doesn't matter how big you get. I know I don't. Every time that I hug my mother, it doesn't matter how big I am. It doesn't matter how old I am. Every time that I hug her, I feel um such a very endearing and special peace. A very special type of happiness that moves me to my core. Be good to your mom, and like, hug her if you're fortunate enough to have her around, because one day she's not gonna be there, and the only mother that you're gonna have is gonna be your moon. The moon is the mother. The moon is it's like an angel that is gonna whisper in your ear and guide you through your instinct. Sometimes logic is not going to dictate your move. Sometimes you're just gonna follow that instinct, and that instinct comes from the moon. The power that the moon has over the human animal, the human psyche, is is very, very, very underrated. Um, so look at the moon in your chart, find it, because depending on the sign where uh, where your moon is placed, you will understand the way that the sign in which the moon is going to be the filter of which that moon energy is going to affect your intuition and your feelings. So, quick recap: the moon is our feelings. The moon is our connection to the mother. The moon is motherhood. The moon is instinct, and the moon is our nourishment, our emotional nourishment. depending on the place that where she is where we're gonna find our nourishment. We um, we are learning the language of the stars because we are made of them, and it's by learning the language of the stars that the stars get to know themselves. Until next time, my name is Roberto Alba, and this was the Plutonian Shore. Until next time.